Welcome back to another episode of the Tracy Take. Today we are doing Trevor Lawrence's Week 1 preseason review. I thought he had a pretty good week, but first, if you have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and let us know what you think about our take in the comments. So, I thought he had a pretty good week 1. One of the things that I was most impressed with, and I kind of talked a little bit about this when we did our first round of quarterback videos back in the offseason after minicamp, was I was nervous about his ability to take a hit and get back up and take a hit and get back up. And I think the Browns actually kind of showed the NFL that Trevor Lawrence can take a hit and get back up. But what was your overall take, I guess, on his week 1 performance? I know it was a small sample size, but
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. All things considered, yeah, he's gonna have a fun time with that offensive line. I think throughout the season, it was funny. The most highlighted play though was actually he had an amazing amount of time in the pocket, and that was the one to Marvin Jones. I think that was more. On that play specifically, and I'm sure if you've seen the Jacksonville game, you know which throw and catch I'm talking about. I think that I thought that was more of an amazing catch and a subpar to okay throw.
He gave the receiver a chance to make a play.
He may, yeah, but I also feel like if he threw it a little bit higher and farther, Marvin Jones could have caught that in stride and potentially could have even got more yards out of it instead of having to jump up in the air. And it was a great throw and catch. I mean, not trying to take away anything from the throw from Trevor Lawrence, but the one thing I noticed that I'm really looking forward to watching with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville is his relationship with Marvin Jones. I think, as you mentioned before, Trevor Lawrence went 6 for 9 for 71 yards. 3 of those went to Marvin Jones, and Marvin Jones is looking like the clear number 1 for the team, and already I would say pretty competitive receiving core. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how Trevor Lawrence and Marvin Jones' relationship kind of develops and see what their stat line is at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think those two together are going to be really good. Marvin Jones Jr. is kind of a jump ball guy, and Trevor Lawrence, especially in his rookie year, is going to have to throw to some contested receivers. I was also pretty impressed with his connection with Laviska Shenault. And just how comfortable he was giving Laviska Shenault the ability to just go and make a play. I know they ran some design screens and things, but it actually, I know it's a screenplay, but everything seemed to work really well. And a lot of times with screens, sometimes they'll lose yards, sometimes they only get 1. And I don't really remember a play where they threw a screen and then they got less than 5 yards. And so the whole team just kind of looked in sync on offense. And all in all, I think Trevor Lawrence really just kind of showed why he was the number 1 overall pick. I think he looked the part. He's very big, very athletic, and that was one of the things that we didn't even really get to see truly was his athleticism and ability to run the ball. And so that for me is definitely a sign that bodes well for Trevor Lawrence. One of the things.
I was just going to say, just to follow up on that comment, it almost seemed after watching the film, it's like that was their game plan going in. Is like, hey, we don't want you to we want you to practice working in the pocket and making your reads, because it seemed like a couple of times, like on I think it was his first play where he got sacked he got strip sacked, but he was able to recover the ball. It seemed like I felt like he had an opportunity to tuck the ball and run and at least and kind of improvise the play, but he did it. But that's something that we saw in college all the time. Like if the pocket broke down, he would run out. And so I have no idea, but that's just what it seems like, because I was surprised he didn't have any rushing yards by the end of the game, and I was expecting him to maybe have 10 or 25 with the 3 or 4 series that he did.
Yeah, no. Well, I think he only ended up doing 2, maybe 3 series. I know that all of his were pretty short, but I think all in all, his performance was pretty good. I do want to say some of his bad. For me, the main thing was just that he held on to the ball too long. I thought a couple of his sacks were definitely his fault. He talked about that in his post-game press conference. There are just a few plays that I really think that he needs to just get the snap, do his drop, and when he hits that last step, that ball needs to be out. It looked like, I don't know if you guys golf out there, but Tyler and I do, and it's called the yips. When people mentally like they do their backswing and then they can't just quite come down all the way, they have to like mentally stop, and it kind of looked like he had the yips on a few of his dropbacks. But again, all in all, I think it'll be a good season. He's definitely going to start. They don't really have anybody down there to compete with him, and they're not in a situation where they really need a guy to come in and make sure that the team is going to be competing with a lot of other teams in the NFL. So
yeah.
But
Well,
did you notice anything else about his performance?
Well, I agree with you. If there was one thing that I guess I would take away from that is he did seem like he hung on to the ball too long. But I think that also kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Is it seemed like he was trying to force himself to stay in the pocket and to draw out the plays and practice going through those reads, reading the offense, reading the defense, and see where the defenders are going to play. But there were some though where I thought that the timing was really good, especially going back to Marvin Jones.
Yeah,
I think one of the plays that we saw that I really liked, it was about a 15-yard out route, I would say.
The first drive.
Yeah, on the first drive, and he hit Marvin Jones right as he was making the cut, which is perfect timing. Cornerback couldn't do anything about that. And so it's going to be a lot of plays like that, and that's where it seemed like when he was hanging on to the ball too long, he does need to develop that internal clock. That's something that we said about Trey Lance. And that'll develop over time.
My favorite thing about that play, and I guess what I was kind of getting to at the beginning of the episode, was just the fact that his very first play was the strip sack. The next play, they just threw a screen play. And then the very next play, he seemed to be like right back in sync on that 3rd and 9 to Marvin Jones. And that's mental toughness, I think, is what's really key at that quarterback position and having a short-term memory in the NFL. And so that was one of the things that I was impressed with. All in all, I'm going to give this grade like a B to B plus range. It's a small sample size, but again, I think he looked the part, and I think he performed fairly well. So
and I think honestly, if there was a performance like this, would probably be an average performance because in the regular season when he is playing, and I know Urban Meyer hasn't said who the official starter would be. I think we all know it should be Trevor Lawrence. But that he, in some scenarios, if he feels a pocket, once the pocket breaks, he'll probably tuck it and run and try and improvise and try and get some people open. Something similar that we saw that Justin Fields was very successful at in his game. But I agree with you. All in all, it was nice to go out there and see him in uniforms and see him playing. And I know the people of Jacksonville really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
So, but if there's nothing else to add, I just want to say thanks again for watching this video. If you have not already, hit that like button. And also, if you're new, to subscribe to our channel and get notified of whenever we create new content. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.